नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। We'll begin the 79th anuccheda. The title of this anuccheda is the threefold spiritual manifestation. That means the Tripad Vibhuti. That is what we discussed in the previous anuccheda. The Tripad Vibhuti is part of the internal potency of the Lord. That is this anuccheda. In this anuccheda, 13 shlokas or 14 shlokas from the Jaya Vijay episode. 3.15.37 to 50. 14 shlokas are discussed by Jiva Goswami in great detail. Very beautiful section. So we'll begin. Evam Santaranga Vaibhavasya Bhagavatah Swarupa Bhutayaiva. It means Swarupa Bhutaya Eva. Swarupa Bhutayaiva Shaktya Prakashamanatvat Swarupa Bhutatvam. Santaranga Vaibhavasya Bhagavatah. Because the transcendental opulence of the Tripad Vibhuti is manifested by the Swarupa Shakti of the Lord. Therefore, the Tripad Vibhuti is part of his essential nature, Swarupa Bhutatvam. Because the Tripada Vibhuti is manifested by his Swarupa Shakti, therefore Tripad Vibhuti is part of his essential nature. Next line. Sacha Shaktir Vishishtasyaiva Swarupatvat Swarupanta Pate Api Veda Lakshanam Vrittim Bhajanti Tatra Prakasha Vishesham Vaichitri Vrindam Cha Prakatayati. So because this opulence belongs to his essential nature of the complete absolute. Shaktir Vishishtasyaiva Swarupatvat. It belongs to the essential nature of the complete absolute, inherently self-endowed with all the potency. It appears distinct from him, although it is part of his Swarupa. Veda Lakshanam Vrittim Bhajanti Tatra Prakasha Vishesham. Although it is part of his Swarupa, manifesting a uniqueness of its own, Prakasha Vishesham, and Vaichitri Vrindam, and distinct varieties within that Swarupa. Vaichitri Vrindam cha prakatayati. That means there is variety in the spiritual world. It manifests distinct varieties within that Swarupa Shakti. There is variety in the material world, there is variety in the spiritual world. And so the Tripad Vibhuti is inherently self-endowed with all the potency of the Lord. It appears distinct from him, but actually it is part of a Swarupa. Prakasha Vishesham Vaichitri Vrindam cha Prakatayati. It manifests a Prakasha Vishesha, uniqueness of its own, and a distinct varieties within that Swarupa. Further he says, Tatra Tatra Tadrishatve Brahmopasana Siddha Gurava Eva Asmakam Pramanam. What is the Pramana for this? Brahmopasana Siddha Gurava Eva Asmakam Pramanam. In this matter, the enlightened teachers who have perfected themselves in the culture of Brahman, who realize the impersonal Brahman, is referring to the four Kumaras. They will serve as our evidence. Tadetadaha Chaturdashabhihi. This will be shown in the 14 shlokas, 3.57.37 to 50. So it begins with the first shloka, that is the 37th shloka. Evam tadaiva bhagavan aravindanabha svanam vibudya sadati kramamarya hridyaha tasmin yayau paramahamsa mahamuninam anveshaniya charanau chalayan sahashri. So we know just a background of this episode. You know that this episode starts with the question by the Devatas to Brahma. So Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were in the womb of Diti. So at that time, by the influence of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, the brilliance of Surya and the different gods, they were suddenly curtailed. There was a universal blackout. There was a universal power cut. Or during COVID, what term you are using? During COVID. It was a universal blackout or a power cut. Or a universal quarantine. So at that time, all the gods approached Brahma to find out the reason for that occurrence. So then Brahma narrated the story of the four Kumaras' visit to the Vaikuntha. The four Kumaras were most eager to see the Lord, and they successfully passed the 6 gates of Vaikuntha. But the 7th gate, which signifies pure love, at that gate, they were stopped by the gatekeeper Jay and Vijay. So although the Kumaras are the oldest beings, were the first sons of Brahma, but they appear to be just 5-year-old boys. As they were completely absorbed in the Brahmananda, they were completely indifferent to their appearance. Therefore, they went everywhere naked. So their nakedness symbolizes that they were completely devoid of any tinge of materialism, and also they were devoid of prema, which is the requisite qualification to see the Lord. So Jay and Vijay, they saw these 4 children.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Devoid of prema. I mean,
Love for the Lord.
Okay, but them being naked and prema for the Lord, I mean, what connection
The
it is?
sense that they were more indifferent. They are just indifferent to everything. When a person goes to meet the Lord, a devotee would also want to dress oneself properly so that the Lord can take pleasure. There is a feeling of when a devotee goes, he wants to give pleasure to the Lord by every act. But the Kumaras were more indifferent to everything. So that is what the nakedness is. So they were naked when they approached the final entrance to the Lord's abode. The Jaya Vijay blocked the Kumara's entry. And this made the Kumaras angry. They were unable to tolerate their obstruction in meeting the Lord. So one of the characteristics of a Brahman realized being is equanimity. So the Kumaras were surprised to discover that the residents of Vaikuntha, they were devoid of equanimity. They felt that the residents of Vaikuntha, Jay and Vijay, they were having a separatist outlook. They were not equipoised. Therefore, they felt that these 2 doorkeepers are not fit to remain in Vaikuntha. Because Vaikuntha is a place free of duality. But these 2 doorkeepers, they are absorbed in duality. They are seen as some outside people and they are not allowing us entry. So therefore, they cursed the Jay and Vijay to take birth in the material world. So this shows that even the Brahman realized sages like the 4 Kumaras, they were unable to comprehend the behavior of the devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra na Vigneha Bhujaya. They were unable to comprehend the behavior of Jay and Vijay. So at that time, the Lord in Vaikuntha, he understood what happened. And immediately he walked to the gate. So the verse which we are just recited, this verse describes how the Lord came to the scene. Before I read the translation of the shloka. So we see that in the previous anuccheda, Jiva Goswami proved that Vaikunta as well as the Lord's associates are part of his Swarupa. Now Jiva Goswami is further fortifying his argument by citing the experience of the Jnani Gurus. The Brahman realized four Kumaras. The four Kumaras are the first sons of Brahma, and they are considered as the foremost of the Brahmavadis and the Paramahamsas. You see in this shloka, Paramahamsa Mahamuninam. That is the word. The four Kumaras were the foremost of the Brahmavadis. Therefore, their conclusion, the four Kumaras' conclusion about the Lord Vishnu and his abodes and paraphernalia, their conclusion must be that it must be considered a definitive conclusion, because the four Kumaras were already situated in the Brahman realization, like the Shukdev Goswami. They were the Jnani Gurus. The Brahman realized the four Kumaras. In the Chandogya Upanishad, the four Kumaras are celebrated as the spiritual teachers of Narada Muni. Once Narada approached the four Kumaras for instruction, and at that time the four Kumaras asked Narada, can you please tell your qualification so that we can understand what is your level, and then we can begin our instruction accordingly. So Narada Muni humbly stated, he said that I have studied the four Vedas, the six Vedangas, Itihasa, Purana, Vyakarana, mathematics, mineralogy, Nyaya Shastra, Niti Shastra, etymology, and so on. Narada Muni introduced himself like that. So you can see, just judging from the immense qualification of the student, that is Narada, one can imagine the extent of the four Kumaras' knowledge and realization. Because Narada became the student of the four Kumaras. So therefore, Brahma is referring to the four Kumaras in this shloka as Paramahamsa Mahamuninam, highly enlightened great sages. And moreover, the four Kumaras are described as one of the avatars of the Lord. The Bhagavatam 1st canto 3rd chapter. They are the Shakti Avesha avatars of the Lord, entrusted to propagate the Jnana Marga. And the four Kumaras are also mentioned as the original preceptors of one of the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. Baladev Vidya Bhushan in his Prameya Ratnavali, he mentions the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Vaishnava Kshitipavana Chatvaraste Kalau Bhavya Yutkale Purushottamat Ramanujam Shri Svichakre Madhvacharyam Chaturmukha Shri Vishnu Swaminam Rudro Nimbadityam Chatussanaha. So the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, Shri Brahma, Rudra and Sanaka, which all purify the earth, will arise from Utkala Desha, that means the Jagannath Puri, the age of Kali. Lakshmi Devi empowered Ramanuja, Brahma empowered Madhvacharya, Rudra empowered Vishnu Swami, and the four Kumaras empowered Sri Nimbarkacharya to each propagate the respective Sampradayas. So therefore, Jiva Goswami, I'm just mentioning the exalted position of the four Kumaras. What were the points we covered? They were, four Kumaras were Brahman realized sages. Second, the Guru of Narada Muni. And third, one of the avatars of the Lord. And fourth, one of the preceptors of the Vaishnava Sampradaya. Such an exalted personalities like the four Kumaras, what is their experience about the Lord of Vaikuntha and about the Vaikuntha? Therefore, their experience is very important. That is what Jiva Goswami is using in this anuccheda in order to dismantle the dazzling Advaitavada doctrine. So, to the Vaishnavas, this section, which establishes the transcendental and the non-dual nature of Bhagavan's form and Leela, and the Bhagavan's unalloyed love and unalloyed love for him. So this episode will be like, for the Vaishnavas, it will be like a soothing moonlight for their water lily-like hearts. Lilies, they actually bloom in the moonlight. So this section is very beautiful, very pleasing to the Vaishnavas. So coming the shloka. Evam tadaiva bhagavan aravindanabha svanam vibudya sadati kramamarya hrudyah tasmin yayau paramahamsa mahamuninam anveshaniya charanau chalayan sakashri. So the Lord Vishnu is arriving at that scene. So Vibudya. So Vibudya, on knowing, on becoming aware, Vibudya Sad Atikramam. On becoming aware of the offense committed to the sages. Swanam, by the members of his own entourage. Swanam. Aravindanabha, the lotus-naveled Lord, who is Arya Hridya, who is cherished by the Aryas, who is cherished by the noble people. Tada eva, immediately the Lord went there, not alone, Sahashrihi, along with Lakshmi Devi. Sahashrihi, along with Lakshmi Devi. And Chalayan, the Lord went there by walking. Tasmin yayau paramahamsa muninam anveshaniya charanav. The four Kumaras, the Paramahamsa Munis, they came there in searching for the feet of the Lord, in order to take darshan of the Lord. So with that same feet, walking on the very feet that are so eagerly sought by the highly enlightened mystics and the great sages. The Lord went there by walking. He did not go there with the Garuda. He went there by walking along with Lakshmi Devi. So now the explanation of the shloka is given. Sridhar Swami's commentary. Ata kramena vyakhyayate. Evam tadaiva iti. So the step by step the vyakya is given. The explanation is given. Tika cha. Evam swanam mahatsu atikramam aparadam tat kshanameva vibudya. Understanding the offense committed by his entourage, that means Jay and Vijay, tat kshanameva, immediately, tasmin yatrate sanakadayas tabhyam jaya vijayabhyam ruddaha. He went to the place where Jaya Vijay had restrained the four Kumaras. Jaya Vijay Abhyam, where the four Kumaras were stopped with the Jaya and Vijay, Ruddaha. Tam Desham Yayav. Yeah, Lord Vishnu went to that place. And Lord Vishnu is described by the word Arya Hridya. Aryanam Hridyaha. That means Aryanam Manogyaha. One who is cherished by the Aryas. Arya, according to DMK terminology, Arya refers to North Indians. But Arya does not refer to people coming from a particular place. Arya refers to those who follow the Vedic culture, those who are cultured. Anarya Jushtam Aswargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. Why are you behaving like an Anarya? That is what Krishna addressed Arjuna in the very beginning. Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupastitam Anarya Jushtam Aswargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. When Parikshit Maharaj was coming back, he was started repenting. So I have behaved like an Anarya. I disrespected that sage by putting the dead snake around his neck. I have behaved like an Anarya. So Arya Hridya. Charanau Chalayan Ityayam Bhavaha. Lord went there by walking on his barefoot. Why he went like that? Mat Charana Darshana Pratigatajam Krodam Tau Darshayan Shamayishyami iti. Because the four Kumaras, they came to take my darshan, to take darshan of my feet. They were stopped and therefore they became angry. Therefore, let me go and give darshan of my feet and thus pacify them. Shamayishyami iti. Tvara vyajena padbyameva yayav. Tvara vyajena. That means to show his urgency, he came on foot. Another reason is that Tvara vyajena, to show his urgency, he came on foot. And then Shri Sahityam cha Nishkaman api Vibhutihi Purayitva Ksamapayitum iti ityesha. Why he came along with Lakshmi Devi? Because although the sages, the four Kumaras were Nishkama, they were free from any desire. But he wanted to make them complete by revealing his internal opulence. By revealing his internal opulence and thus beg their forgiveness, invoke their forgiveness. Ksamapayitum iti. Vibhutibihi purayitva ksamapayitum iti. And then further. Atra tesham atma ramanam api ananda danartam charana darshanena tasya sachitananda ganatvam. So the Sachitananda Ganatvam, Bhagavan's nature in this description, Bhagavan's nature as Sachitananda Gana, that is shown here. In his intent to give bliss to the four Kumaras. The four Kumaras were Atma Rama. They were Atma Ramas. They were completely absorbed in the bliss of the Atma. Even though they were completely absorbed in the bliss of the Atma, the Lord wanted to give a superior bliss. Therefore, he came there, and by that, how the Lord's form is Sachitananda Gana, that is shown here. Simply by showing his feet, the four Kumaras are going to experience a superior bliss. By that, the Lord's form as Sachitananda Gana will be established. Shri Sahityena Tachakti Vilasasyapi स्वरूपा नितरत्वं विवक्षितम्. So he appeared with Lakshmi Devi means that the manifestation of his conscious internal potency is non-different from his Swarupa Shakti, non-different from his essential nature. And then Swanam iti Bahuvachanam. Jay and Vijay, only there are two persons they committed offense. Dvivachana should have been used. But Swanam iti Bahuvachanam Dvayorapyaparadha Sarveshu Eva Parivareshu Apata Apatati Ityapekshaya Tayor Bahumanadva. Why the Bahuvachana is used? That means Lord felt that our entire retinue is implicated in this offense. Our entire, the whole Vaikunta, all my association Vaikunta are implicated in this offense. That is what Lord felt. Therefore, Bahuvachana is used. Although two persons only stopped Jay and Vijay, the four Kumaras. And another reason why the Bahuvachana is used is that as a sign of respect to Jay and Vijay. Jay and Vijay only dual, two people were there. But sometimes when you want to show respect to a person, although one person may be there, we may use the Bahuvachan to show respect. Like Hindi may be, आप क्या कर रहे हो? आप क्या कर रहे हैं? आप we use the sign of respect. Similarly, like Bahuvachan can be used even though two people may be there as a sign of respect. So this shows that how the Jay and Vijay were very dear to the Lord. The Swanam word itself shows that how the Jay and Vijay are very dear to the Lord because the Bahuvachan word is used. Swashabdena muninam na tadrisham tadatmiyatvam iti vivakshitam. This also showed that by the Swashabda, it indicated that the Kumaras were not included as part of his inner circle, as was the case with the Jay and Vijay. So this shows that the Jay and Vijay, how they were very dear to the Lord, how they were part of the Lord's inner circle, as compared to the four Kumaras. That is also indicated by the word Swa. I'll go through some of the points in the purport. Some things in the purport we already discussed. The first of the 14 verses cited in this section describes how the Lord came on the scene. So each of the 14 verses is pregnant with meaning. Jiva Goswami thoroughly explains each one. And then he finally summarizes the underlying themes also. So in this particular section, Jiva Goswami vehemently repudiates the radical Advaitavada position. The Lord has no transcendental form. He raises objections on their behalf that even they themselves would probably not be able to imagine. Jiva Goswami thus leaves no doubt regarding his conclusion. He raises Purva Paksha arguments which they themselves would not have imagined, and then gives the befitting reply to all those Purva Paksha. So the Bhagavan in this verse indicated the Lord is omniscient. Immediately he understood the offense, even though nobody came to inform him. Therefore, Tadaiva, he immediately came to the scene immediately. And the Lord was not at all confused about who was the wrongdoer. Nor did he choose to favor his guests, the Kumaras, over his devotees, Jay and Vijay. The Lord was not at all confused about who was the wrongdoer, nor did he choose to favor his guests, the Kumaras, over his devotee Jay and Vijay. Thus, he is called Arya Hridya, cherished by the whole, cherished by the noble. So, meaning that his form and behavior captivates the awareness of those who are awake to spirit. The word Arya, or one grounded in spirit, has a particular sense in the Vedic culture. So, amongst the other characteristics, Aryans hold all the guests to be worshipable. And Brahma is using the term Swanam to designate Jay and Vijay. So, this indicates that the Lord did not consider the four Kumaras to be part of his entourage, but he considered Jay and Vijay to be part of his entourage. So, therefore, the Lord came running there because he felt that a mistake committed by the servant is also equal to the mistake committed by the master. Bhrityaparade swamino dandyaha. When a servant commits a sin, people in general blame the master. So such notoriety ruins the master's reputation as much as white leprosy does a person's skin. So we already discussed the pronoun swanam is in plural number. So that means all the Lord considered all the Vaikuntha residents to be implicated in the offense. So indicating the unity among the liberated devotees. He felt all the Vaikuntha devotees are implicated. That shows the unity among the devotees in Vaikuntha. And the intense loving relation that exists among the devotees in Vaikuntha. This is complete non-duality, Advaya Jnana. Not the Advaita Vedanta, the Advaya Jnana spoken about in the Advaita school. So the Kumaras were angry because they were not allowed. So the Lord came there by foot, thinking that he would pacify them by allowing them to see his feet in action. So this shows his subtle wisdom. We can see the very subtle, refined nature of the Lord. And also, this is one reason. First reason is that he felt that, okay, let me go and show my darshan of the feet. That is the purpose of Kumaras coming here. And thus please them. And second reason is that in the Vedic culture, when you want to receive a honorable guest, one will go barefoot to receive the honorable guest. That is also, we can see the guest reception. The Lord is going there to receive the four Kumaras by barefoot, the part of the guest reception culture. And the third reason is that the Lord came outside the gate to uphold the Jay and Vijay's decision to not let the Kumaras enter Vaikuntha. Therefore, the Lord himself came outside the gate. And the fourth reason is that, so by then granting the Kumaras a vision of his feet, so these three reasons are mentioned why the Lord came on barefoot. In this way, by granting the four Kumaras a vision of his feet, he simultaneously diffused the situation and in this way fulfilled the main purpose in coming. In this way, everyone would be satisfied, no transgressions would be made. And then 5 points are mentioned as why Lord came with Lakshmi Devi. So first point is mentioned is that the Lord came with Lakshmi Devi to show the four Kumaras that he has nothing to hide. That I have nothing to hide. And the second reason is that Lord wanted to bless the four Kumaras. Because at this point, the four Kumaras had experience of only the material Lakshmi Devi. But Lord wanted to give them an experience of the spiritual Lakshmi Devi and in that way bless them. The second reason. And the third reason why the Lord came with Lakshmi is that Lord felt that Lakshmi may be in a better position to placate the angry boys more than me. That mother maybe more easily, mother was more capable. Women is more capable to pacify the young children than the men. Therefore, the Lord brought Lakshmi Devi. And the fourth reason is that the Vamshidhara, he mentions, the four Kumaras were Naitika Brahmacharis, and the Lord brought the Lakshmi Devi thinking that would bring their anger under control in the presence of Lakshmi Devi. Because the men, especially brahmacharis, are generally better behaved when in the company of women. So the fourth reason he brought Lakshmi Devi. The fifth reason is that Lakshmi Devi followed the Lord out of curiosity to find out how the Lord is going to deal with such a complex situation. So, another point on the whole, Bhagavan's internal potency, Lakshmi Devi is Bhagavan's internal potency and can never be separated from him. This is the sixth point we can say. Because Lakshmi Devi is Bhagavan's internal potency, therefore she can never be separated. So these are the 6 points mentioned why Lakshmi Devi came along with the Lord. So the Kumaras were enraged for being prohibited from seeing the Lord and then immediately delighted upon seeing him. Indicates that the Lord is Sachitananda. Because he could award bliss even to the Kumaras who are Paramahamsa Munis, highly enlightened, liberated sages. So it also indicates that the bliss of realization of Bhagavan surpasses the Brahman realization. Surpasses and includes the bliss of Brahman realization. So therefore, the purport of this shloka is that the Lord's feet are worshipable even by the four Kumaras who are situated in Brahman realization. The next part of anuccheda. So somebody can repeat after me. I'll recite the shloka. Tam tvagatam pratihritau payikam swapumbis
तं त्वागतं प्रति तौपैकं
pumbis
पुंभिस्
te chakshataksha vishayam swasamadhi bhagyam
ते चक्षताश विषयं स्वसमाधिभाग्यम्
hamsa shriyorvyajanayo shivavayulolach
हंसश्रियो व्रजनेयो श्रीववायुलोलयो
Shubhrata patra shashikesara shikarambum.
शुप्रात पत्र शशिकेशरशिखराम्भुम्.
This is the
Sorry,
next.
Prabhuji, Hindi is little bit
No.
okay. I will
We are
try.
all the time used to reading in English actually, but no problem. This is the next shloka, 3.15.38. So, tam tvagatam pratihritau payikam sa pumbis. So you can read the translation. They beheld him.
They beheld him as he arrived, the fulfillment of their trance having become apparent to their eyes, accompanied by his own associates who brought with them the paraphernalia for his service. He was being fanned by two whisks, swan-like in beauty, the pleasing breeze of which shook the pearls of that dangled from the white umbrella, appearing like drops of nectar falling
From the full moon. Yeah. Falling from the
from the
full
full
moon.
moon.
So the description of the Lord is given. The four Kumaras beheld the Lord as he arrived. Tam tu agatam pratihritau payukam sa bumbis. Te achakshataksh aksha vishayam, the fulfillment of their swasamadhi bhagyam, the fulfillment of their samadhi having become apparent to their eyes. In the samadhi, the four Kumaras had realized the impersonal Brahman. The fulfillment of the samadhi now has become apparent to their eyes, aksha vishayam. And the Lord came there accompanied by his own associates. Swapumbi, accompanied by his own associates. And these associates, they brought with them the paraphernalia for his service. Hamsa Shriyur Vyajanayoho. What paraphernalia? They were fanning him with the two chamaras, which are hamsa, which are swan-like in beauty, which are like two swans. Shiva Vayu Lolach. And by the chamara, they were giving a pleasing breeze to the Lord. Shiva Vayu Lolach. And because of the pleasing breeze, Shubhrata Patra, Atapatra, Shubhra Atapatra means the umbrella. So some devotees were holding a white umbrella on top of the Lord. And in the umbrella, there the pearls were dangling. Pearls were dangling from the white umbrella. So when these devotees were fanning with the chamara, the pearls that dangled from the white umbrella, they appeared like the drops of nectar. Shashi Kesara Shikarambum. Shashi refers to moon. Shashi Kesara Shikarambum. So the pearls were moving from that umbrella. They appeared like a drops of nectar falling from the full moon. So that is the scene which is described here. So tatra tair drishtam devam anuvarnayati panchabihi. So in the next 5 verses, Devam refers to Brahma. Brahma describes the Lord as he was seen by the Kumaras. The Kumaras saw the Lord. What they saw. So that description in 5 verses it is described. Tam tu agatamiti. Te sanakadayah. Te refers to sanakadayah. Swasamadhina bhagyam bhajaniyam phalam yad brahma tadeva aksha vishayam. So swasamadhina, in their samadhi, whatever result, whatever fruit they obtained, that Brahman, the same Brahman became the Aksha Vishaya. The same Brahman became visible to the four Kumaras in the form of the Bhagavan. Yadva Swasamadehe Swasya Hridi Brahmakarena Paratatva Spurter Bhagyam Palarupam. Alternatively, the phrase Swasamadhi Bhagya here means that the supreme truth in the form of the Brahman manifested in their own hearts as the greatly auspicious outcome of their meditative trance. The supreme truth in the form of the Brahman manifested in their own hearts as a greatly auspicious outcome of their meditative trance. The same Brahman manifested in front of them. Yato aksha vishayam tadiya स्वप्रकाशकता शक्ति संस्कृत निखिल दीन्द्रिय स्फुरितत्वेन संप्रति विस्पष्टमेव अनुभूयमानम्. I'll read the next line also. अनेन पूर्ववत् तस्य शब्द स्पर्श रूप रस गंधाख्यानां सर्वेषामेव धर्माणां सच्चिदानंद गणात्मत्वं साधितम्. So you can read this paragraph alternatively, the phrase.
Alternatively, the phrase Swa Samadhi Bhagya here means that the supreme truth in the form of Brahman manifested in their own hearts as the greatly auspicious outcome of their meditative trance. As a consequence of this, that supreme truth became directly visible to their eyes. This means that the sages were now clearly experiencing him, because he made himself perceivable to the total quantum of their mind and senses, which had been purified, and thus attuned to spirit by his self-illuminating potency. As before, this incident again illustrates that all the characteristics of Bhagwan, such as sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, are completely transcendental, being of the essence of condensed eternity, consciousness, and bliss. Satchit Ananda.
So we see that the supreme absolute truth, till that time they were only observed in the impersonal Brahman. But that same Brahman, the form of the Bhagavan, the supreme absolute truth, became visible to their eyes. So the four Kumaras were clearly experiencing him. That is what the verse says, that Swa Samadhi Bhagyam Aksha Vishayam. Swa Samadhi Bhagyam Aksha Vishayam. So now their mind and senses had been purified, and this shows that all the characteristics of the Bhagavan, such as the sound, form, taste, etc., all of them are transcendental. All of them are transcendental. Anena Purovat Tasya Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandhakyanam Sarvesham Eva Dharmanam Sachidananda Ganatmatvam Sadhitam. This shows that everything related to Bhagavan is Sachidananda. That is proved here. Because the four Kumaras we will see the result of the four Kumaras experiencing the Lord. How they got a superior bliss. Next. Tata Nityameva. I'll just take another maybe 10 minutes. We'll complete this part. Tata Nityameva Tata Vida Satato Tatata Uditva Ramaduri Vaichitriyanubhava Purvakam Parama Premananda Sandohena Sevamanais Tasyatmiyaihi Purushair Anita Sevau Paika Nana Vastubihi Sevyamanam Bhagavantam Katanchit Tvachit Kadachideva Tadanim Kenapi Samadija Bhagyodayena Kevalam Apashyan Niti Tesham Parama Vidusham Sprihaspada Vasteshu Teshu Shri Vaikunta Purusheshu Kasyapi Bhagavad Ananda Shaktir Vilasamayatvam Darshitam. So you can read this paragraph, the personal associates of the Lord.
Yes, Prabhu, 1 minute. The personal associates of the Lord constantly ministered to the Lord with various paraphernalia they had brought with them for that purpose. They did so in great loving bliss, as they experienced the varieties of sweetness that arose spontaneously, moment to moment in him. It was exactly at that moment, out of all possible moments, places, and circumstances, that the Kumaras were somehow enabled just to see the Lord, yet not to render service. owing to some extraordinary fortune that arose from their trance. The Kumaras were already awake to the supreme wisdom of enlightenment. So the fact that they aspired thereafter to attain the consciousness and existential disposition of a servant of the Lord shows that these liberated servants from Vaikuntha are manifestations of some particular bliss potency of the Lord.
So you see, very important. One minute. Hare Krishna. Oh, 1 minute. So this is important, this one. So the four Kumaras, they also saw different associates of the Lord serving the Lord with different paraphernalia. And they saw that these associates were serving the Lord with great bliss. And four Kumaras experienced a variety in Vaikuntha. And those varieties in Vaikuntha were arising moment to moment, spontaneously. Some devotees were offering chamar, and some people were holding the umbrella. So at that time, the four Kumaras were enabled to see the Lord, but at this point, they were not. They were just situated in Brahman realization, and because of certain fortune, they were able to see the Lord. And after this incident, we will see in the prayers of the four Kumaras. The four Kumaras, they exhibited a consciousness wherein they aspired for service to Bhagavan. They aspired for the consciousness of the disposition of the servant of the Lord. So this shows that these liberated servants from Vaikuntha are manifestations of some particular bliss potency of the Lord. That means all these devotees in Vaikuntha, four Kumaras, by seeing this scene, later they aspired for Dasya Bhakti. So that shows that all these devotees in Vaikuntha, they are all manifestations of the bliss potency of the Lord. And then, Ata Tesham Bhagavad Reta Ruddhipanattvena Chittakshobhakatvat Tat Parichadadinamapi Tadrishatvamaha Hamseti Sardai Tribihi Kesara Muktamaya Pralambaha. So therefore, since the Kumaras' minds were suddenly thrown into a frenzy when their love for the Lord was aroused by seeing his dress, paraphernalia, and the entourage, this shows that all these are transcendental and blissful like him. This will be explained over the next 3.5 verses, beginning with the second half of this one. The word Kesara means hanging pearl pendants. The Lord's umbrella is compared to the moon and the hanging pearl pendants to drops of water. By drawing comparison to the moon, the implication is that the water drop-like pearls are ambrosial. They are like nectar. So, I'll just briefly go through the commentary. So, when the Kumaras saw the majestic gait of the Lord, they completely forgot their anger. Their eyes were transfixed on him as they had never experienced such exquisite beauty and magnificence. The bliss of Brahmananda was completely overwhelmed by the beautiful vision of the Lord. So that form which they experienced, that is described in the 5 verses. So the Kumara saw the Lord, how he was served by the personal associates. This verse says that the Lord became the object of their vision. Generally, all the visible objects in this world, they are all material. But that does not mean that the Lord's form is also material. In order to make this clear, the verse says that Swa Samadhi Bhagyam Aksha Vishayam. They were enabled to behold the Lord as a result of their Samadhi, because Samadhi is a state beyond the 3 modes. Swa Samadhi Bhagyam Aksha Vishayam. The Kumaras were previously absorbed in Brahman realization and they situated in the self. So they were able to recognize that the vision of the Lord was the result of their Samadhi. So the Lord cannot be considered material, as nothing of that nature could excite the Kumaras. The Kumaras cannot be excited by something material, because Kumaras were already Vigata Spruha. They were free from all the material desires. So they cannot be impressed by some material form. And not only the Lord's form is spiritual, but even the paraphernalia used in the service of the Lord is also transcendental. Because the Lord's paraphernalia also caused upheavals of love in the hearts of the Kumaras. So they could understand the Lord and his paraphernalia. They are of the same transcendental nature. So this is signified in the phrase Sa Samadhi Bhagya. So when recognition has 2 features, one is the remembrance of the past experience and a simultaneous direct perception of the object. We remember some past experience and now currently we are perceiving an object. The combination is called as a recognition. So because the
Is it something like Uddipan or something?
Yeah, remembrance of the past experience, like a samskara. When we have experienced something in the past, and then when that comes to the surface, when it comes to remembrance, because of certain uddipana, because of certain stimulant, certain remembrance may come to the forefront. That remembrance of the past experience plus direct perception. So uddipana awakens the past remembrance, the past samskara. So the Kumara's past experience of Brahman in trance was not material. So they had experience of the Brahman realization. That was not material. And now the same feeling now is getting awakened when they are seeing the form of the Lord. So therefore, the Lord and the objects used in his service could not be material. So in their Samadhi, they had experienced the Brahman realization, impersonal Brahman realization. So now the same Swa Samadhi Bhagyam Aksha Vishayam, now the same what they realized in the Samadhi, now it has become the object of their eyes. So that means what they are seeing now, the form of the Lord, that is also transcendental in nature. Therefore, by the process of elimination, we must conclude that the Lord had blessed the Kumaras with his internal potency so that they could see him through their own eyes. Previously, they had been able to experience the Lord only in Samadhi. But now, he who is imperceptible became the object of their vision. Achakshata Aksha Vishayam. And the Kumaras, they were also permitted to see the Lord being served by the devotees. Swapumbihi. But they were not given the chance to serve him personally, but they were given the opportunity to see that particular scene. So this also implies that the Kumaras could sense that, oh, we are not part of the Lord's inner circle. It was already explained in the previous shloka. The Kumaras were given the opportunity to see the Lord being served by his intimate associates. So Kumaras felt that, oh, we are unfortunate. We don't have the opportunity to render intimate service to the Lord. Therefore, they will express their desire later. So the enchanting beauty of the Lord's paraphernalia is described in the last line, the second half of the verse. That is that Chubratapatra Shashikesara Shikarambum, by using the Atishayokti Alankara. That means that the white umbrella was compared to the full moon, and the dangling pearls from the white umbrella, they were compared to the droplets of nectar falling from the full moon. So here Atishayokti Alankara is used. That means the whole scene had completely caught the attention of the four Kumaras. And further, how the verses are going to, that will see in the next class. But you can meditate on these two shlokas, every word, what is the minute detail of the scene being depicted. The Lord is arriving there. What is the minute detail of the scene of the Lord, the beauty of the Lord, the paraphernalia of the Lord, associates of the Lord, what is the comparison, and what is the effect it had on the four Kumaras. We will see that minutely. We have seen two shlokas today. We'll continue in the next week. Yes, any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So when we say that the Lord desired Virya Rasa, I mean, are we not trying to? I'm just trying to clarify my doubt. It's not an offense like that, but are we not trying to demean the Lord's sweetness in the sense that how can Lord desire destruction? In the sense when I say that, oh, Lord desired Virya Ras, so he came down and he did all that. So, I mean, then you are even taking the free will away from the demon who's wanting to become bad. Like, are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Or it's not clear? Like, supposing that, I mean, it would be rather okay to say that the demon has used his free will by becoming bad, and that's why he fought with the Lord. And Lord is just reciprocating the wickedness of the demon Hiranyaksha by coming as Varadev and this. So instead of saying that Varadev, he desired Virya Ras, instead of that, why can't we say that the demon desired, misused his free will, became bad, and he did this act? Because we cannot.
Because in the Vaikunta, from Vaikunta, there is no question of fall down by misusing the free will. There's absolutely no possibility. Because the Lord can, we will see in that Prabhupada's purport, once we went through previously, the Lord can never allow the devotees to fall down from Vaikunta. Yeah, free will is there technically, but Vaikunta is a place of no fall. Kauntaya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. This statement of Krishna will become untrue if Krishna is unable to protect a person from Vaikunta, falling from Vaikunta. And in Vaikunta, there is no Maya only. There is no influence of Maya. And if somebody can misuse the free will, and because of that is falling down, that means it will also put the blame on the Lord, that the Lord did not protect the devotee by using his internal potency. The Lord did not protect the devotee by his internal potency from falling down from Vaikuntha. So therefore, it will put the blame on the Lord, because from Vaikuntha, theoretically we say By the misuse of the free will, Prabhupada has also spoken many times. But the point is that Vaikuntha, by the nature of Vaikuntha, nobody can fall down from Vaikuntha by misusing the free will or something. So therefore, it is ultimately the whole event was orchestrated by the Lord. With the Lord's desire, he wanted to enjoy Viryaras, and therefore the Jaya and Vijay, they wanted to give pleasure to the Lord. They wanted to take birth of the demons and give pleasure to the Lord. It was a very special case. So this incident cannot be taken as a generalized. Just like Jaya and Vijay fell down from Vaikuntha by misusing the free will, so all Jivas fell down from Vaikuntha by misusing the free will. So that is not the case. Prabhupada very clearly says that Jaya and Vijay coming down to this world is a very special case. It's a desire of the Lord. And when ultimately the Lord's desire is involved, and because of Jaya and Vijay, we have the example of the pure devotion of Prahlad Maharaj. What a wonderful example the world has got. Prahlad Maharaj. So when the Lord, even when the Lord desires to enjoy Virya Rasa, but one may think that for that the world has to go through so many problems. No, not like that. Just like even in the ordinary government, suppose when the government is attacking a particular, suppose fighting with certain terrorists, our government is doing certain thing. In the course of the process, suppose certain civilian houses also get destroyed. And that is called as collateral damage. Then the government will build the houses of the civilians. Even in the attack of the terrorists, certain civilians' houses get destroyed, and the government will ensure that the civilians get back their houses, get back their property. This is there in even the ordinary government. Then what to speak of the supreme government, the supreme Lord? Suppose in the course of the Lord wanting to enjoy Virya Rasa, if so many others had to go through problems, no, they will ultimately be benefited only. Lord will never allow that, like a sadistic dictator, that there was one, I think, one African king or something, dictator. He was giving a tour to one of the guests in his kingdom. And he was taking to different places, and then he said that he went to one top of the mountain, and he said that this is the place from where we execute the criminals. And then he asked that, oh, is it the place? Is there any criminal to be executed like that? I want to see like that. Yeah, just out of curiosity, the guest asked. Then the dictator, that time there was nobody to execute. Then he told one of his servant, okay, the guest wants to see somebody's execution. So okay, you go to that he sent that servant to that cliff, the top of that mountain, and then they threw that servant from the top of the mountain just so that the guest can see the execution of somebody. This is a whimsical dictatorship. But the Lord is not like the Lord wanting to enjoy Virya Rasa is not like that. The Lord wants to enjoy Virya Rasa. Even if somebody gets affected, that person will ultimately be benefited only. So therefore, it is only because of the Lord's desire that pastime happened. There is no possibility of somebody misusing the free will in Vaikuntha and falling down from Vaikuntha. Right.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, we'll stop here then. Next week we'll continue. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रील जीव गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।